Gonna start tonight off with a public hearing. You can all rise if you're able for the pledge to flag, which is next one, right here.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, good evening. We're gonna start with a quick public hearing tonight for changes to chapter 140-46.1. Would either of you two like to get up and discuss the changes? I'm just gonna leave it open to whoever.
Hey, I'm so sweet, John, you go.
Well, it's pretty simple. So ADUs, it's changing the allowed square footage to 1,000 square feet. From was it 750? And then just making a few other clarifications. With respect to septic systems. And making sure that septic systems can be designed to accommodate the extra need from the ADU. And then I believe the straight through is, because I sprung up here without it in front of me this moment, I believe the strike through is related to removing the owner occupant.
Yes.
Which is, as we all know, a requirement of LD 1829/2173. So that's that. I don't know, Richie, did you want to add anything?
No, I think we had a lot of public input, I'll say, about wanting to increase the size. Somewhat, partly it's because it pencils out better if you're building it as rental income, but that isn't really everybody's goal. Often it's for your kids, your aging parents, for you to move into and rent out your house. But it sort of made sense. There was a call to have it even be larger, and I have to say, some of us resisted in that then you're basically building a second home. And to me, building a second home on the lot is accommodated in other ways in the ordinance. And it's a bigger discussion that changes the character of your neighborhood. So we felt that these should stay exactly what they are, which is accessory to the primary. Well,
LE 1829 dictates the 1,000 square foot, or that's a choice we're making as a town.
It prevents municipalities from requiring that the owner of the property.
Yep.
Live in, on the property, either in the principal dwelling unit or in the accessory home.
Okay, so there's not a square footage
No.
minimum, okay, great, thank you.
Just a general topic with any of this, as we've already started talking about LD 1829 and everything. We have the best infrastructure that we can kind of have to allow this extra dwellings. Are we limiting areas with the extra water and sewer? Is that gonna be implied in this at all?
I think this change shouldn't affect that too much, because no matter what, with LE 1829, we're gonna need to allow, and we do allow an ADU on every residential lot. So, no matter if they're 750 feet or 1,000 square feet. We'll have to allow them on every lot as we do today, so.
Are we not allowed as a town to limit what areas where they can be built, or just every lot's gonna have that permission?
Every lot. Every residential lot must have one.
but you still have to meet setbacks. No parking is required. That's one thing that's really different, radically different, I would say, because if you're downtown and you can't, but then. People have to self-select if it's, for instance, for rental or, you're either gonna walk or not have a car, or in fact, we're put in your driveway, so.
And I'll just add, this isn't necessarily specific to ADUs, but we also have LD 997 kind of. Which is the one that requires municipalities to allow at least one dwelling unit on properties in areas zoned commercial. So that's another one that I assume we'll be talking more about as we go forward in the course of this year.
What are the numbers though? LE,
997.
Can I give you guys a hypothetical? So if you have a 1,500 square foot home. And you want to put an ADU there. How would that work?
Well, it could be attached or not attached or above a garage, and as long as you, again, met.
All right, I did email Jeff today. I was a little confused about the 100, it says 1,000 square feet of the total living area of the building. And I don't know if that was the building that is currently on the site or a new building? You know what I mean? I was a little confused
So
with
that's
that.
the ADU itself. That means that the ADU,
Okay,
and I remember when this came into being a couple of years ago, the ADU issue, we looked at, I think Elliott, we looked at Berwick, maybe Northrop, we looked at how they had figured out a size limit, and to keep them sort of accessory. And some did percentages, so if you had a 5,000 square foot house and you were allowed to put, I don't know, a 25%. Into the might have 20, that'd be 1,250 square feet, that's another house. And you also, because by virtue of the fact you already have an enormous mansion, you get to put another house. That didn't seem quite fair, and if you had a tiny house, like a 500 square foot cape. Then you'd be restricted to basically building a shed if we just used a percentage. Elliott used, I think, a graduated percentage, where if you got to this much, you were allowed that much percentage, so it's sort of. Everything would have stayed sized in a way that seemed appropriate. And in the end, after struggling with this, we decided 750 square feet, which is a very decent 2-bedroom apartment or a 1-bedroom apartment with lots of space. Based on the apartments that I built, looked fair in terms of it's not supposed to be a 3-bedroom starter home for sadly for your kids, even though that doesn't exist very much, but it's supposed to be an accessory dwelling unit. So that's where we came to 750, and with pressure on housing now and what it is, we think increasing the size is appropriate.
Anybody in the public?
If I could just add that, when we talked about it, and Joe, to your point about, sort of restrictions, I was concerned about where these would go. We still got the setbacks issues, as Hershey mentioned. You still got, issues with whether it's public water, public sewer, or a well, it's septic. All of that has to be factored in before you can get your building permit anyway. So there are some limitations on where these will be able to be built. But the idea was to open this up a little larger, as Hershey said, more opportunities for the owners, et cetera. But there will be some limitations based on existing infrastructure.
Can I ask a follow-up to that, in general, have we done any projections or any ideas of what potential property tax increases might do to residents if they were to do that? Or revenue projections? I know it's very theoretical, it's okay now.
I know I will say, let me give one example, though, Kittery, if, a year ago, up until a year ago, I think, offered $75,000 of free money to build an ADU. If you income restricted it for 5 years, I think it was, don't quote me, but I believe it was 5 years and it was 60% area median income, which seemed to be an incredible deal. And at the time, you actually could build an ADU, I think 2 people did it. The number of people who actually applied for ADUs was so minimal, it was astonishing to me that we thought there was this huge demand. Very few people took advantage of it. And now to build an ADU, it can be like building what used to be a house a few years ago. It's like $250,000. It's not a little $20,000 project anymore. And that alone really depresses who can build them. So someone should do a Sears kit. Like the old Sears houses. Where the makers like to do it themselves. Right? Okay, I'm not gonna ask one. I read about it in Smithsonian Magazine.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. My name is Maggie Rain and I live on Sewell Road. I live on the corner of Sewell Road and Farron Street. I'm a little late to understanding this potential changes. So paragraph B is required by, removal of paragraph B is required by state law. Is that what I understood?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's really unfortunate. I also think that 1,000 square feet is a 3-bedroom house, and I just think that's too big. I think, my understanding that the original intent of having accessible dwelling units was for multi-generational family living. Now this is investor stuff, right? Once you remove the owner occupancy requirement, you're into investor territory. So I understand that there are still setbacks, but I'm trying to, excuse me, envision if the folks on Parent Street who have almost identical little capes, some of them share driveways. Most of them park on their lawn because they can't fit their trucks and SUVs in their little garages. With suddenly 1,000 square foot units on each of those little lots, or on any of those little lots. You know, ultimately it could end up looking like a trailer park there. I'm. Yeah, I would urge you, I know you can't do anything about paragraph B, which I think is very unfortunate. But I would urge you to keep this, not to make the change to 1,000 feet, but keep it to 750. I think that's more than adequate. Thank you.
Hello, Kirk Estes, 15B Vine Street. For the folks in the audience, I'm also a member of the planning board, but I raised this prior to joining the planning board. The example I'm gonna give you is our son is a chef. He works in Portsmouth. He would like to live in the area. He cannot afford to live in the area. The rentals for a 2-bedroom in this area, even a 1-bedroom, is over $2,200. The reason we're looking to increase this is 750 square feet only allows for 1 bedroom, 1 bath. If he were to stay around longer with his girlfriend and get married and have kids, we'd like to have them be able to have affordable housing nearby, which is the whole intent of the law changes for the state of Maine to have affordable housing. As the planning board noted, we're still restricted by the limitations of the setbacks and septic design, water, et cetera, et cetera. And so I just think it's important. We initially asked for 1,200. We agreed on 1,000. We think that's a great compromise. 750 only allows a 1-bedroom. Ideally down the road, I've been downsized, right sized several times for my jobs. My nest egg has been there to stay afloat and rebuild myself, but I do not have a nest egg. This affords me the opportunity that if my wife and if I decided to semi-retire or retire, I could actually travel. We could potentially move into the ADU, rent out a larger house, and be able to afford to stay in the area. Otherwise, I may not be able to. So, as much as I understand the concerns of having a larger unit, I think 1,000 square feet is a good compromise. And also, if we were to rent it out, there's a letter from a gentleman I can pull up from one of the initial sessions on the planning board that was talking about the numbers that he ran on a 1-bedroom versus a 2-bedroom. And the 2-bedroom makes the numbers work because now we're looking at the numbers, it's over $200,000 to build an ADU in this day and age, which is cost prohibitive for a lot of folks. So I think that's it. Thank you.
Anybody else in the public?
So is there any, I guess I'm not understanding what the setback requirements are. Is there a requirement to maintain a certain amount of open space, grass on the property?
That would be your lot coverage requirement, does that stay the same, or you guys, I mean.
It means that, for each area of town, we have to have a certain amount of acreage to build a house, so I'm in R3, that means I need 2 acres of this. And also you have to have, I think the side yard, there's setbacks, maybe you can't put a building within a certain distance of the property line, so usually the side yards are 15. The rear is often the same, and there's usually sometimes a front setback as well, depending. In commercial areas where it's mixed use, they want you to go right at the edge of the road, so often there's 0 setback. But for most residential areas, there's some number of feet that you have to move your buildings from, so there's a buffer between you and your neighbors.
In the village, which are fairly small lots, could someone, I think my lot is 6,000 or 8,000 square feet, something like that. My house is a couple thousand, I can still put 1,000 square foot building on that.
Probably 1,000.
Depending
Depending on the setback.
Yeah, depending on where your house is on your property, if it's dead smack in the middle, maybe,
Front lawn.
but it depends on where your where your house is set up on your property. You have to have that clearance all the way around it. So depending on how your property is laid out, where your house is, possibly you could put it there. might not be able to.
I don't wanna put anything anyway.
Well, right, fine.
Right.
But like if you're little, in that neighborhood, I think the point is that, you know, it's not like people are gonna be able to build an ADU on their front lawn where they're currently parking their cars, you know, because there is a setback requirement of where the building needs to be relative to the road, and so there's those limitations that may make it that your lot technically, you know, after you consider all the setbacks, actually, there's not enough space to build a thousand square foot ADU. So it's very dependent upon the zone in which you live and then where the setbacks are.
Yeah, and obviously on Parent Street's in R1, so there's a 30% lot coverage maximum and 20-foot front setback, 15-foot side, 15-foot rear, so anybody looking to try and get an ADU on their property, they have to find a way to make it work within those narrow lots and within those dimensions.
You could always build a smaller ADU. I mean,
Right,
I do housing and I actually looked up the targeting for the project I'm working on now, which is a residential building. 650 feet is a very nice one bedroom. We have 1,000 feet for our 3-bedroom apartments. And, you know, are the bedrooms huge? No, it's probably about the size of my bedroom or my house, so, and it's comfortable, and I have to meet a lot of construction standards by Maine housing law. And it's a decent unit you could actually build, so you could build a 1-bedroom ADU, you could build a studio that you get to use. You could use something that when I have a fight with my partner, I get to go live there. You could build all sorts of things, but you don't have to build 1,000 square feet. I'll use it, watch it. You know,
Kind of the point as well, I think this also kind of answers your question too. I know at the state level, I think there's currently policy to increase your property taxes if you are not full residential. Or you have a second kind of home situation, would this fall into this, or would these combine to encourage you?
That's over, I think, a primary residence thing.
So
If your primary residence isn't in Maine for a certain amount of time, they're looking, I think, at throwing a penalty on it.
But if you shifted your primary residence to an ADU, would that, but you're still a main property owner, would that?
It's a good question, John, I have no idea.
That's like-
And
that's what I'm-
I really doubt it, I don't think that's not what that argument, that's not what it's meant for.
Yeah, I agree, it's a good question, but the second home stuff does not apply to that.
Oh, yeah, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think it's great, like, my parents are elderly, and this, I think, would be very, very helpful to have a thing, but I think it's just figuring out those niches.
I'll also say in terms of the investment question, I don't know what the statistics are in Maine, I knew New Hampshire Housing did a study a year or so ago, and I remember that 80% of the 1, 2, and 3 unit housing there, so a duplex, a single house. 80% of them were owned by basically people who inherited them. They weren't investments, there were people who got them from their parents and rented them out. So they have been local, whether they're local anymore, I don't know, but they weren't brought, you know, investment companies are buying right now, manufactured home sites. And jacking up land costs, that's really where their sweet spot is right now to get more money, so, not these kind of 1 and 2, 3 multiplex type houses, so.
well, still changes the nature of the neighborhood, when you're talking about something in the village. I mean, if you have 2 or 3 or 4 acre property. I don't see any issue there, putting that there, I'm concerned about changing the character of the village.
Well, and so, I can say this, right, LD 2003, I think, has already, allowed us to change the nature of the village. We certainly, as a planning board, could go back and consider different sizes and different zones. We could say that in places where the density is greater, we want smaller ADUs, and where you have to have this many acres, in like R3, R4, or 5. You get bigger places, so I don't know if that's fair or not, I don't really know, Jeff could weigh in on whether that's something we.
It should almost self-police itself with smaller ones though, because you don't have square footage,
Right.
right? I mean, I got almost 3 acres where I am. I'd rather not have any ADUs out where I am, that's why I bought out there to have all that open land. But that being said. We could put a couple out there, but in town, you're very limited with the size of the lot and where your house is placed, right? So I think I really think that's self-limiting in the areas you have now.
And let me point out, I don't believe there's a limit on a barn. You could put a huge barn that is 5 times the size of an ADU out on your 3 acres and nobody could really complain, so just keep that in mind, even though it's, maybe you have other critters and not people living there. But you know, in terms of what it looks like and it just, you know, there's a lot of stuff that isn't regulated in that way, so.
All right, I mean, I think the other thing to realize for Maggie, I mean. These can be built within an existing structure, I mean, they don't need to be a separate. If you have a 2,000 square foot home downtown. You know, you can put an ADU in there if you can figure out how to do it. You wouldn't need parking and everything else, I don't think they.
No, in
take
fact,
that-
that's what
That's what takes that away, so.
Portsmouth only allows ADU.
There are, yeah, I mean, there are some limitations. Do you, how many ADUs have we, you guys know how many ADUs we permitted over the last couple of years?
Not a lot. I
Yeah,
had to count them at one point when I was in the code office, and it's not a lot.
Like 10,
No, I'd say in the past 2 years, it's like 15 to 20, but that's like just over the course.
Okay, anybody else in the public? Anybody online? Going once, going twice? All right, we'll close the public hearing. We'll take a roll. We had 4 councilors present. Mr. Lindstrom could not make it this evening. So moving on from that, we will jump right into public comments. Is there anybody in the public that would like to comment on something? It's not on the agenda. Pat, you raised your hand first.
I'm Pat Robinson on Brattle Street, and I'm speaking with my Conservation Commission hat on. Because of Paul, he got the Conservation Commission much more motivated. There's been a tree crossing the river at the town forest. There's I want to say it's very worded, and I won't, a ton of trash. We tried to get as much out we could. But with a few volunteers, we got the tree cut. And waiting for high water to push it down river. There are still other snags we still have to attack, but we did take 3 or 4 big bags of trash. I took 4 tires to the dump. And there's 2 that Evelina, who just joined Conservation Commission and very kindly answered my snail mail letter to let us use her land to, and then she joined the Conservation Commission. That might be my request. And, but there's a couple tires that she and her husband are gonna get to her house, and I'll pick them up. And there's still one stuck in the trash, so there's still more work, but I just want to say thank you to the many volunteers, and especially John Brannigan and Chris Mende, because they were there until after 6 o'clock. Started about 9:30, 9 o'clock. So, and I wanted a big shout out to Kenny at the dump. He was like, transfer station, he was like, yep, we'll take whatever you got, no problem. And town administration who allows that too, and public works. Thank you.
How are the tips?
To dry.
Nice.
Although someone I know said something about they're starting to find ticks now, but this was like yesterday.
Excellent.
yeah, it was awesome. I wasn't there.
You weren't there, but.
It was my idea and I wasn't there.
Well, but it was, you motivate us. You were talking about
I
it
would very motivate.
for
You know,
effort.
on the backside, I'm not, you know.
Look at that tree every time we go there, you know, how are
It-
we gonna get this tree out of there?
Yeah, and I will just say this, and I was gonna mention it later in councilor comments, I mean, it is just the Great Works River. I don't know how the length from North Berwick all the way down to 236 or the dam there, you know, it's an amazing place, I mean, you can feel like you're in. You know, central or even northern Maine, if you kayak or canoe or fish or whatever.
We wanna get it opened up.
Yeah.
So people can canoe it from one big lake down to,
Probably 8 to 10 miles of
Yeah.
canoeing or kayaking, which is
so.
pretty unbelievable.
Ms. Steinhauer, please step up, state your name and address.
Thank you. Tamara Steinhauer, 19 Hill Drive. I have 2 questions from Paul, who couldn't be here. First was in the Maine Supreme Court case, Mick versus Town of South Berwick, which we won. Did the court award the town reimbursement of court costs? No, okay.
I can speak to that really quickly, because I had somebody appealing one of my planning board decisions in Kittery. You're not allowed to ask for reimbursement when you appeal a planning board decision. Or ADB, it's not the kind of litigation that allows for that.
Okay, thanks. And then the second question is, who decided on black windows at the town hall?
The group did.
Okay. Okay. And then I have a comment, after reading the packet for tonight, I think you need to reconsider a recall provision for town councilors.
Thank you. Anybody else in the public? Seeing none, anybody online? We'll move on again. We will move on to town manager's report. Jen, you're up.
All right, good. On the last 2 weeks, the highway department has got great work drive graded and ready for pavement. Goldfields Neil Bridge culvert project is going well and will be completed this week. They are getting the equipment ready for winter. In the past 2 weeks, the police department has had 5 arrests, 4 accidents, 138 traffic stops. The behavioral health liaison helped 111 people. And both the police and the fire chief participated in site assessments at the 3 MSAD 35 schools at South Park with the main school safety center. The fire department had 43 calls in the last 2 weeks, 426 year to date, and 2 of those calls were overlapping. The firefighters took advantage of some of the nice weather and they did some training on water rescue and boat operations. Code enforcement had 6 building permits, 2 certificates of occupancy, and 20 inspections. Planning and economic development, the growth plan amendment was approved by the planning board, which will be in front of the town council at our next meeting. And Brittany is working on the planning, the block party, which will be happening on Fall Street again this year in October. Transfer station, they are painting one of the outbuildings to match the new siding on the main building, and they remained. At the library in the last 2 weeks, there have been 1,411 visitors to the library. They hosted 17 public programs with 176 people in attendance. The new teen program lineup for the fall will include a comic club, open studio time for teen creators, and some fun one-time events, including slime making. Recreation, they have been very busy with youth soccer. They have over 220 kids that have signed up, 22 teams, and 41 coaches. The tow road of House Hill is ready for replacement. Every few years, we need to order a new one, and we're ordering that in preparation for our inspection in December. The senior program held a lunch and learn last week on sugar. There was a nutritionist from Hannaford that came to run that particular program. And tomorrow, Elvis will be in the building for the seniors luncheon here. Assessing, there are lots of questions about the tax bills. And this is normal for the first few weeks that the tax bills go off the new year. In the town clerk's office, they had 265 motor vehicle transactions, 16 vital record transactions, and 14 notarial acts. Some of the staff attended Bureau of Motor Vehicle training last week, and they continue to prepare for the November election. Finance and HR, the tax bills were prepared and sent to the printers to be mailed out. First half of the tax bills are due September 30th. The tax drop-off box has been moved to the outside of the larger office trailers in the town hall and the parking lot. We continue to prepare for our audit, and we just received our auditor's checklist yesterday, so we'll be working on that as well. Collecting applications for the tax book, we have 12 new people that have joined that this year. Admin finalized the fiscal 27 budget with Jeff, and you'll be seeing that there on the agenda. Multiple meetings with the town hall renovation town teams. The old big safe that used to be in the clerk's vault was in her office for the last couple of months, has been now taken to the disposed of last week. That was quite an episode from what I understand. Took me quite a few hours to get it out. I had a meeting with Kennybunk Savings Bank to learn more about grants that they have to offer for community projects. I met with Great Works Land Trust yesterday about repairing a culvert off the old Pumpkin Town Road, since it's partially on town property. It's just in the talking stages at this point. And I continue to work on year-end analysis for fiscal 26, working on a few forward requests that have recently come in, and talking with residents about their tax bills. That's all I have.
Any questions for the town manager? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Moving on from there, we'll go to approval of the following minutes. First one's up, the Board of Assessment from August 11th, 2026.
Chair, I'll motion to adopt the board of assessment minutes from August 11th, 2026 as written.
Second, motion to second, any discussion? Hearing none, Paul?
Aye.
Joel?
Aye.
Mallory? Vote aye also, that motion passes 4-0. Moving on to town council minutes from August 11th, 2026.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to adopt the town council meeting minutes from August 11th, 2026 as written.
I'll second it. Any discussion? Hearing none. Yeah, Paul,
Aye.
Joel.
Aye.
Valerie. I vote aye also, motion passes 5-0. I'm gonna probably Sam before it runs over. We have no reports and presentations this evening, correct?
Correct.
Excellent. I jumped ahead of the treasurer's warrant. Want to talk about it, but we will look at the treasurer's warrants. Get to that page. 48.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to sign one treasurer's warrant. Are we really at one now? Well, I'll make a motion to sign, the treasurer's warrant dated August 20th, 2026 in the amount of $1,256,316.28.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that?
I just wanted to note that Charters Brothers is in there for the construction of the town hall for $518,000.
Yeah.
And the one annual bill for the county of taxes for York County is $537,000.
Boy, am I glad the school didn't come out of this one.
I know, that's scary.
Okay, so discussion had on that, move to a vote.
Just had to mention that, John.
Well, it would have been north of $2 million if the school payment was.
Yes,
in there, so-
it would have been.
Our largest warrant.
I said, that would have been the biggest one I've ever signed. Paul.
Aye.
Joel.
Aye.
Mallory.
Aye.
I vote aye also, the motion passes 5-0. We will move down to unfinished business. First up, 2666, update on the town hall by Andy from Dovetail Consulting. Andy, floor is yours.
Hey, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, hi, good to see everybody. So I submitted budget statements last week. I'll get to those in a minute, but just want to kind of give a general overview of the project, the way we see it. So Charter Brothers is continue with construction, rocking and rolling on the second and third floors with demo, trying to turn over phase one, the lower floor, as fast as possible. They've hit some speed bumps along the way related to delivery of especially fan coil units. So the phase one turnover has been pushed to mid-September. And they've been keeping us in the loop the whole time. The overall substantial completion date is now February 12th, based on a number of factors that contributed to delays. I will say that we haven't litigated the delays with Charter Brothers, I'll say. We haven't really gotten into any kind of major discussion about what the causes of the delays are and who might be responsible for them. For now, we're all playing along as positive, constructive team members, and we are, expecting Charter Brothers to manage the schedule as efficiently as possible. The immediate prep we're doing right now is looking forward to the September move-in. There's going to be HVAC commissioning that's happening, punch lists, IT and security startup for the new spaces, the staff moving back into the building, especially the clerk's office. So that's going to keep us pretty busy over the next 3 weeks or so. On the budget side, I sent 8 pages of statements, so I won't go over those in detail, but some of the highlights. The owner change orders, the change orders that have hit the owner's contingency, that's been holding pretty steady. We've actually been holding a $3,000 credit for a couple months now. So the reason for that is not that we haven't had change orders. It's that as changes have come along, Charter Brothers has really been taking a lot of change orders under their own contingency. So just as a reminder, they started the project with $658,000 of their own contingency cushion to kind of absorb a lot of bumps in the road. So far, they've absorbed $450,000 of bumps. which is quite a lot. And, you know, we give them credit for doing that. That leaves them with $208,000 remaining in their cushion. That corresponds to 25, you know, substantive draws to their contingency, just to keep that in perspective. And I think the ones that have hit us are, I don't know, there've been like 4 or 5 of them. I don't remember what the exact number is. And the result has been a credit to us. So I expect that as the project goes on, you know, we're going to continue to see change requests pop up. If I were working for Charter Brothers, I would start to guard their contingency with much more jealousy, and I would start to want to assign a lot more of these changes to the owner's contingency. So I'm just saying that out loud. We haven't seen it yet, but I'm saying it out loud as a, you know, to expectation management. So we do expect some work to call on the owner contingency over the next couple months. We're still working through the details, so we haven't submitted the actual requests yet, but there's going to be some landscaping. We're planning for a sign in the front yard. We're planning to do some extra paving work to improve the parking lot a little above and beyond what the base scope was. A lot of that we expect to be offset by a credit we get from Charter Brothers for the landscaping scope. You might remember maybe 4 months ago voting on removing some landscaping scope from the project. We still haven't seen that credit back because there's been a lot of back and forth with Public Works about exactly what they're doing, what Charter Brothers is doing. My coworker Forrest has developed a whole matrix to try to assign all the responsibilities, but we're still actively discussing that. But there will be a credit back from Charter Brothers. And then another financial highlight, the bond interest continues to accumulate. The original projections done by Sam, I think, were in the order of $165,000 of bond interest through the life of the project. The principal has been sitting in the bank longer than expected, just earning more interest than expected. And so right now our projections are $318,000 total. So that's about $150,000 more of bond interest than when we started the project than we expected. So that's always good. Just some other items we're tracking, just kind of as the project goes through its normal motions. Like I mentioned, there's a ongoing coordination exercise related to the site work, basically finalizing what Public Works is doing and what Charter Brothers is doing. There's been a lot of questions about sidewalk slopes and widths of sidewalks, so we're still sorting through a lot of details. We're working on the front sign. Forrest is working on the front sign design. Ran some designs by the team, trying to finalize the pricing so that we can come to this group with a formal request. The proposal is going to include an electronic display, which I understand needs a variance from the town ordinances. So there will be we're asking about the process to request a variance to allow for that electronic display. We're working on some owner side purchases above and beyond what Charter Brothers is doing. So the sign I mentioned, there's some remaining furniture needs. So as those crystallize, we'll come to this group with requests. Those are expected to hit owner contingency. By the way, I didn't say it earlier, but we started the project with $750,000 of owner contingency. Almost all the draws you've seen in previous months, those have left us with about $460,000 remaining in owner contingency. And I don't think there's been any requests for owner's contingency in the last month since we last did our reporting. Yeah, there's just always ongoing construction coordination. So questions about where the elevator sump discharge is going to go. We're scheduling a lighting controls meeting. We're still working through the credit related to CR3 from Oak Point Associates. There has been some good news to report. The Charter Brothers hosted a Women in Construction of New England site meeting last week. I think Jennifer already distributed that on the town Facebook page to announce the site meeting they had to kind of encourage the role of women in construction. Jennifer mentioned the safe removal a couple minutes ago. What it it was probably fun to see the safe go down the stairs, but what it really means is that the new clerk's office is going to have a new high density mobile storage system, which was authorized in a previous meeting. It's going to be a very nice way to store all the records. So it's a nice infrastructure investment that's going to come. It's scheduled to ship, I think, in September. I'm not exactly sure when it's supposed to arrive. And then sometime in the next couple of weeks, we'll do an announcement about the phase 1 turnover. So there will be new offices ready for public visit, new circulation patterns. So if people have gotten used to visiting the trailers, they'll be asked to go back into the building to visit certain offices. So yeah, that's what we're working on. That's the end of my report. Happy to answer any questions.
Anybody have any questions, Brady?
Just one thing, Andy, on the budget that you sent out, the extended GCS, that's 126,000. What is that?
Yeah. So if you look at the reports I sent out, maybe on page 5, you get to the end of the list of change requests, and there's 3 columns. One column for what we're assigning to bond interest, one column for what we're assigning to owner contingency, and then the third column is what Charter Brothers is absorbing with their contingency. And the last line item on that is $126,000. So extended GCs per July 2026 schedule update. So what that means is GCs is general conditions. So this is Charter Brothers overhead, staffing, their costs to just kind of run the project above and beyond the labor and materials of the actual construction workers. So this is their staff. This is their rentals of the porta potties, any kind of other equipment rentals they have, their share of insurance premiums, just all the kind of overhead around the project is collectively known as general conditions. So that number comes from the fact that the project is expected to go till February 12th now, instead of the original projected date of December 31st, 2026. So that's another 5 weeks of general conditions that they have to carry, basically staff costs. That would be the bulk of it. And so they are planning to run the project through February 12th and incur an extra $126,000, which they are assigning to their own contingency.
So the
So in other
208 C is lower than that then? Is that including the 168?
Yeah, that's including the 126.
126, sorry.
Yeah. So the 126 adds up.
I think the 208,000 is what's left after
Add
that.
126, okay.
That is correct.
It's essentially extra costs due to timeline delays.
Yeah, no, which I want to make sure, I want to sure it was the before or after, because I was like, their contingency is gone. If that wasn't before.
Correct. We lost you for a second,
So-
Andy, but. all right.
We answered the question.
Okay. Yeah. Does that answer your question? Yeah.
Yes, it does, thank you.
Any other questions?
Okay.
Brady?
No, have we, the solar panels, did we ever hear on those or?
You're gonna hear real soon.
Okay. I don't know where they fit into this entire budget, but I would assume it's
If we get the $75,000 grant, we're gonna get $75,000 worth of solar panels.
If we don't, we're not getting it.
Yeah.
I mean, have we
So
already counted
what-
that as a, a benefit or,
It's not in these numbers.
Yeah, right. We had, when we realized we didn't get the first grant, the procedure was to take it out of Charter Brothers' scope because they were planning to build the solar panels. So we had to take it out of their scope. They credited that back to us. So that's one of the big reasons we haven't, on the aggregate, we haven't had a lot of draws on the owner contingencies, because they've given us a couple big credits back because we've cut the scope back. They've also done a good job at managing change orders and contingencies and buyouts, but there were 2 big credits back to us. One was the solar panels. Maybe that was the big one. Yeah,
The
a
original
couple months.
50,000 to do all the solar panels that we wanted to do. So we reduced it down to just the 75, dependent on the grant.
But the roof, like, infrastructure will be in place to support.
Yeah.
Correct. Even if we don't end up getting it right away, so that could be a future decision.
All right, anything else, Randy? Hearing nothing, Andy, thank you so much,
Thanks, Andy.
keep up the good work.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks, y'all. Yeah.
Bye. Take care.
One other thing we will add it on the schedule is that all the contractors moved out of the first floor today. I'm like, you guys are coming back, right? But they're getting the floors all sanded and all flattened, ready tomorrow to put flooring in. So we're at that point, so it's pretty exciting. So,
Forward progress.
yes, we like that.
All right, moving to 2697, the TIF budget for fiscal year 27. So we talked about this.
Yes, I will
once or
give a
twice.
brief overview and then let Jeff talk about some of the specifics that he's looking to do for TIF dollars. So the first one we have is this one, which is the shorter one. This is a description of our CIP and debt percentages that we're able to pay the TIF, Lincoln Town TIF. Those roll up into the operating budget, which is the one that has some yellow on it. And that shows the salaries for shared salaries with other departments, for Jeff and Brittany benefits with a percentage of the salary sharing as well. There's contracted services to get software licenses, SMPDC assistance. And then computer cost sharing also with the town hall. Some utilities sharing at 15% of the 50% of this building for fire and rescue. And there's some other supplies and expenses, some legal fees in there. And then you'll see the debt in the CIP towards the bottom. All of these numbers roll back up into this big TIF budget. The ones that we are considering today are the ones that are in salmon color. The top one is the Pumpkin Town. The first 3 lines are the budgets that we just discussed. And then the second 2 are Pumpkin Town improvements, sidewalks throughout the whole area. And a Pumpkin Town small area planning study, which is something new that Jeff did add to this budget. So that we can make sure that we really know what we want to have in there and what it should look like. The second tip is the transit oriented TIF. Down below, school 27, you'll see their downtown improvements. There's business retention and small business expansion, wayfinding implementation, legal fees, and tourist amenities and events. So those are overviews of the TIF budgets for each of them. And if you want any more specific information about the studies, Jeff is here to answer those for us tonight.
Anybody, cause we've kicked this down the road twice, I'm ready to make a motion. It was approved on the warrant article. I don't know why we kicked it down the road twice. So, anybody got any questions for Jeff?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So, I'm going back to, well, let's see, I thought I saw on the, what was online, I mean, downtown improvements. We have $225,000 in there.
Yeah.
What are we doing? Where do we, or do, I mean, are there, I mean, I don't need to know in detail, I'm just wondering generally what sort of projects those down.
Yeah, so part of it is engineering, so we want to be able to have a budget to be able to hire engineering and planning services for various downtown improvements, whether they be streetscape, pedestrian access and walkability, and other improvements. As the DOT project gets further along, there may be a need for strategic consulting services on our part to advocate for things in that project. The other aspect is I want to explore the possibility of the feasibility of undergrounding of some of the power lines along Main Street. Starting with a very small high-level feasibility analysis, so that's part of that too. And we also want to be able to have some budget capacity for small scale improvements that could be implemented quickly in this, potentially this fiscal year. So that's what's behind that.
Okay. Are we, the impact fees, Jeff, are we? Do we have we did the study, we talked about, I'm not sure where we're going with that, I don't know if the incorporated did this work, or whether we might need more support to try to get that done.
The draft study is done and Jen and I had talked about it. It's gonna come to you guys. It's just gonna be, I think, more like a either September or October timeline.
Finalize that.
Okay.
We need to have a good plan of how we're gonna spend that money in a fairly short amount of time. So that's what Jeff and I are brainstorming right now.
How we're gonna spend impact fees with
Correct.
money to bring.
And it's very limited in how we can spend them, so we need to make sure we have the need and be able to move forward on those.
I mean, I think if I recall, we needed to do. We need to outline like what improvements we wanna make in town, what infrastructure we wanna build, when, how, with what sources of funding. So, I don't know if that could be incorporated into what we're, sort of looking at right now, but.
That study has been paid for, we just need to do the final presentation.
Yeah.
But if I recall, whoever made that presentation said, you guys, you need a plan of what your infrastructure improvements.
That is correct.
Right, so we don't have that. I don't think.
We have a lot of ideas in front of us that we need to decide which ones we need.
And that consultant, reminded us that especially nowadays, when the legislature has required spending the impact fees collected within 360 days of collection. Given that the impact fees already, as Jen mentioned, are narrowly restricted, you have to use them only on the prorated impacts of the growth that generate the impact fees for capital improvements. So you can't kind of pay for like a whole intersection, traffic signal with impact fees, just the increment caused by the growth of that development. And then they can only be in these specific categories of capital improvements. You can't pay for operations. There's just a whole set of constraints on how to use impact fees.
I'm just gonna throw this out there. I think, I mentioned this a while ago and I'm gonna continue to mention it, is that I do have an interest in investigating if our impact fee structure could be used to help defray some of the cost of our EMS and new fire services. I know we would need to revise our TIF agreement. I have talked to people who say it's a legitimate cost, particularly because it's a new service we're providing. If it's related to the amount of development that's currently taking place, then it's a legitimate, attempt, it could be a legitimate attempt to try to defray some of that cost. I know that it would be, we'd have to hire an attorney and do this and that, but I mean, I think with that new expense, I do think we need to sort of uncover every rock we can to see if we can find some additional ways to defray that cost, so.
Great. Paul, are you suggesting impact fees or TIF or both?
Well, the impact fees can only be used for infrastructure, so.
Okay, so exploring it.
But it would
if we
be,
use TIF funds.
it would probably be personnel costs, but I mean, I do use it for other personnel costs. I mean, it sounds like a stretch, but I have talked to people who say that it, it's legitimate, so.
As soon as we finish with that amendment, we'll look into it.
Just to give you something else to do.
Anything else?
No, good.
No, you good, Joe?
Yes. So looking at this breakdown here from fiscal year 23 to fiscal year 26, we essentially have an increase of $3.2 million in our TIF budgeting. 2 million of that is for the earmark for Route 36 and Main Street traffic improvements for the lights. And that's When I think when we've had questions of what we budgeted versus what the federal government saying might go, that's what's budgeted for this.
Yes, we've earmarked what's in green for some facades that weren't advantage of yet and the traffic improvements. We hopefully should know by the end of September or from the Senate if we are gonna get 80% covered by the feds, 10% covered by the state.
If we do not get that, do we have plans over the next, because I see there's not a large jump between fiscal year 26 and fiscal year 28. Are we not gonna be budgeting any more for TIP or tax dollars towards the line?
Once we know what we're gonna be funded within the next couple of months,
That would change.
we'll anticipate for next year that we could either shift these earmarked funds to something different. Or we may need to be careful and save some money.
We had been anticipating being on the hook for 10% of that project.
That is correct.
Yeah, so that's okay. No, that's, I think it makes sense, I just want to track it, just in case the
And
projects come to fruition.
And if that percentage changes a little bit, we are prepared for that,
Mhm.
but yes, so we've had that in the back of our mind.
Perfect, so then, in that 3.2 million, we spent it, we have 2 million earmarked for that, right? So we have $1.2 million essentially spent on debt, operating expenses and salaries. Do we have presentations, because I mean, Paul also kind of like asked, like essentially like for downtown improvements, what are we doing with that? Is there a presentation of like how are we kind of communicating the use of that TIF funding to the public?
Anything over $10,000 has the same purchasing policy requirements. So you'll see later in the agenda, we are asking for some RFPs to spend some of these dollars.
Okay.
So that it will have the same purchasing requirements as we do with everything else, so it'll come in front of the council for approval.
Perfect.
I'm all set.
I'll make the motion to approve the fiscal year 27 TIP budget presented.
Yeah, second that.
Motion on the second, no further discussion, Paul? Aye. Joel? Aye. Mallory?
Aye.
Vote aye also, motion passes 5-0. Thank you for the explanation, Jen.
Of course.
Moving down to 26-114, discussion on chapter 140 zoning ordinance change for ADUs, the public hearing we had earlier this morning, or earlier today.
Wow, felt like hours ago.
It's been a very long day. Does anybody in the public wish to speak about this now? Okay. I'll move to approve the language as presented, during the public hearing for chapter 140 for additional dwelling units.
Second.
Motion in a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Paul?
Aye.
Joel?
Aye.
Mallory?
Aye.
I vote aye also, motion passes 4-0 on that.
Thank you, planning board.
Yes, thank you for all the work. Why are you laughing? That's a genuine thank you.
No,
Okay. All right, moving up to 26-120. Implementation of a comprehensive plan committee. Okay, I did it right. I did not say it the way it's spelled.
Yeah. There's a typo and then
Oh,
implantation.
sorry about that.
Mark would save me on
Funny.
that. Yeah. Even comprehend. Jeff, is this you again?
Yes, it's me again.
Welcome back to the podium.
Hope you guys are,
Yeah,
Never.
wonderful seeing you.
sounds good. I saw you earlier this morning. I'm just kidding.
At some point today.
Yeah, at some point today. So, yeah, this is, drawing from the last council discussion. Really want to just emphasize, first, you guys heard from various members of the public and members of this new committee. That we have two silos, the comprehensive plan committee, which was the planning board. For the purposes of the comprehensive plan amendment that is now in process related to the growth area. And then the comprehensive plan implementation committee, which is something that takes a longer view that should last longer than just when the amendment is approved. And that's what Maya and Christie are currently on. Or I think intended to be on. And what we want to do here with these actions is clarify those two functions. So the recommendation, as you see there in your packets, is to establish a comprehensive plan implementation committee. Reappoint Christie and Maya to that committee, direct staff to assist with recruiting other members as our staff do. And then eventually get that committee going and I have kind of what are like draft bylaws, they're draft only. I assume the committee could finalize those once it's created and has a forum and meets. But it gives you an idea of what the committee would do, and several of you mentioned that the comprehensive plan itself has recommendations for what this committee should do. I think that page is excerpted in your packet. Jen also put the goals, policies, and strategies in the packet. But the implementation committee would be going through those policies and strategies and looking for ones that they can recommend should be implemented. And making recommendations to you guys and the planning board and other committees. Basically being the shepherding the comprehensive plan so that it is a living document and its policies are implemented. So you can see that there in section B of the purpose language. And then I just added some additional kind of committee organization related provisions, talking with Jen and Monique about that. So those are the actions for your consideration, and happy to answer any questions.
Look, so the planning board, I did have a question from somebody today asking about what. We made the planning board. A number of months ago, we asked you to update the growth area map. I mean, we basically said you are the body that's going to update the growth area map. But so are we, what happens after that? I mean, are you guys still the comprehensive? My question is, are we gonna have a comprehensive plan committee and a comprehensive plan implementation committee? Do we need to have both? I don't know if we do.
I think we were only charged in reviewing the comp plan due to 1829.
Right.
That's it. That was very limited. We don't continue doing that. I don't believe we have any power to, I mean, we can always make recommendations like any group in town.
Right.
But other than that, our charge was really because of 1829 to revisit the growth area, which it most affected. And we did that, we're done. We're done.
That was my.
What was your question? Are we gonna have two, like the comp plan committee and the comp plan implementation committee?
Yeah.
My thought, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that the comp plan committee has done their work and they're done. Because we gotta have a new comp plan. So when it's time to refresh our comp plan, which I feel like we'll be here sooner than we think, but then, the comp plan committee would be reactivated and built. But this is about implementing the plan that the
Okay.
current comp plan committee built.
Correct. That would be great.
Really, the comp plan should have been the comp plan ad hoc committee because it's temporary.
Yeah.
Right? It's not a standing committee with the town.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good.
I'm good with this.
I'll entertain a motion if someone wants to bring one.
I think this is great. I'm glad we laid it out. I think it's with what you provided to the incoming group. Gives them some real direction. We adopted the comp plan 2 years ago. And, we got sidetracked with 1829 and a bunch of other stuff.
Looking forward to working with them, and it'll be a real benefit too, because we're all in the weeds here, especially over the next year with ordinance amendments, text changes based on 1829 and other things. And they'll be able to kind of zoom out and look at the big picture and say, what do we want to move forward with, and really give valuable advice to the council, the staff, other boards and committees. So looking forward to them. Hopefully it's the community members out there who want to join them so that there can be a full committee.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to establish the comprehensive plan implementation committee. Pertaining to the charge that Jeff pulled together. And that it also includes appointing Maya Srinivasan and Christy Woods to the comprehensive plan implementation committee with a term ending June 30th, 2029.
And a second, with the discussion.
Do we need more action than that? for the record.
Absolutely. Paul?
I,
Joe?
Aye.
Mallory? Vote aye also, motion passes 4-0. Is that it for you, Ken?
No.
Alright. Listen, tomorrow, have a seat, we'll be seeing you shortly.
I'm just gonna do a wardrobe.
Well, we could change the time of the day. Alright, we will move on to new business. An easy one, 26-122, liquor license renewal for Stage House.
Can I trust you to renew this so I can go home then?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I will move to renew the liquor license for Stagehouse Inn there. It gives us a good standing. No issues reported to us by the police or fire department.
Can I just ask a question? Sorry, did you just make a motion?
I did.
Okay, I'll second the motion.
Beautiful night.
I'm just noticing in our packet, the requested action gives us like the different options, which is very appreciative of, but there's nothing like specific, that's just new material that we're getting, and so I just wanted to make sure we're not missing something.
No.
Okay. Okay, I'm good.
Extra that bit.
Thank you. My overachiever, so excellent.
We have a motion and a second with the question that was answered about Monique being an overachiever, which she was never again.
Laid out all of their possible options.
No further questions. Paul? Mel?
I.
Mallory?
Aye.
Joel?
Aye.
I vote aye also, motion passes 4-0. It's not even late and it's getting punchy. 26-123, this answers one of my questions from the other night about special amusement permits. So we have an application here for 3. Correct?
Correct.
And we can do it in one motion, there'll be no issue with that? Or do you want them all separate?
There's no issue with all together. They are all still active.
Excellent.
I will go ahead and make a motion, to approve the 1-year special amusement permit renewals for Happy Valley LLC, the Links to Outlook and the Stagehouse.
I will second that, and I will just note that we have in the past 10 years waived the public hearing for these, so consistent with what we've done. We will not be holding a public hearing. Paul?
Aye.
Joel?
Sorry, can I just one clarifying question?
Sure.
It doesn't, I'm just kind of curious, where the $35 fee came from?
It's on the application form.
It doesn't. Just curious,
They're internal.
just curious where that number comes from, but
Administrative fees. Valerie?
Aye.
I vote aye also, motion passes 4-0. Moving down to 26-125, RFP for the mural on the block building.
Hold on a minute.
Chris-
There was one.
Chris Watson.
Did I? Oh, yeah, sorry. 26-124, meeting minutes.
This one's just a housekeeping
Okay.
item.
You also have options on this one, so.
So this is basically like when the council meets in executive session or we have special meetings, this is us, the council is responsible for keeping track of when we open the meeting, when we close the meeting, motions and all of that, and relaying them to the clerk so that they can be captured. Right, is that fair?
Yes, so these are the ones for the managers.
Yeah.
So,
I will make a motion that I will provide this information to Monique for our July 20th and 22nd. July 20th and July 22nd special meeting minutes.
I'll second that since I wasn't there, so I can't help.
And then I will just say, I think it's important for the counselors who will be here after November to make sure that someone, as Monique has suggested, that someone is designated to keep track of that information. So, and usually it's the chair, but in this case, John wasn't present for a couple of those, I think. So, that's something that we need to do to help out the town clerk.
I mean, those are essentially just saying who made the motion to go into executive session.
It's nothing
and come
special.
out of it.
It's-
Yeah.
We started at a
There's
certain
no-
time.
There's nothing else.
Yeah.
What we normally do, but. And if I'd been here, I probably would have forgot it anyway, but. All right, we have motion in a second. Any further discussion?
Um,
Yes.
Mr. Chair, one quick point, since you and I were not there Should we vote on this?
Sure. Because we're voting on what we're gonna do in the future.
Wait, sorry.
And now we're putting the notes in, so I don't have a problem.
You were not there. You were there.
I was on.
These were for the interviews.
Oh, never mind, yes, I was there.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I wanna make sure it's not going to fail with two of us abstaining.
I'm not gonna say anything.
I was
Thanks to Mallory.
I had a date.
You had a dating, yeah, congratulations again. All right, rolling on from that, Paul,
Aye.
Joel,
Abstain.
Mallory,
Aye.
I vote aye also, motion passes 3 with 1 abstention. Right, moving on now, the RFP for the mural on the Blackboard.
Hello.
I get to, all I have to say is that, this will allow us to go up for an RFP for the, potential second mural. And, Brittany has been taking the lead on that, and she has a lot of familiarity with the previous work that's been done. And we also have, Aaron Mercier, the, business owner, where the, proposed mural would go. So, I'll just turn it back to you guys, and, depending on what the question is, one of us will be able to answer this.
The only question I have is Historic District Commission.
Mhm.
And have they weighed in or where are things at with that?
Yeah, it's gonna be a part of the process before it even comes to you guys, that
Okay.
they will have their approval.
Okay, so it'll stop with them.
Yep.
Is the solar good?
This is
Still,
our
still good?
Yeah.
Excited for it, actually.
Did you get your tank?
That was a quick, yeah.
That's a really touchy.
That's a-
Okay.
Gonna ask about that. Yeah. Oh, well.
Please, by all means, because I've been jumping you, because I have nothing for you, so please.
Okay, well, was there any questions about what was going on the mural?
No, that's in the process that I would still have to like start all over fresh with a
Okay.
big RFP with you.
Okay,
Starting off.
the only thing I said, like, what does the town want? What does the community?
Yeah, so that's gonna be all, like, there'll be a process that I'll follow.
Okay, I'm
and
all
go from there.
for it.
Yeah, we just have to get together and set a time.
Whatever. And then. So you said you had nothing on that?
I don't, I've talked to others involved with you,
Okay,
and I still can't find anything other than what you've been told. I know our code enforcement officer issued
mhm,
a violation,
there's no date on it,
there's
so,
no date. So that's something we need to find, because they basically gave you a ticket with no court date.
yeah,
Are they working with you to move those?
no, they're trying to. Do something about it, but not do something about it, and it's been 9 months like that. So Friday, I actually talked to a new propane company. They looked in the back, they're willing to do a lot of free work. To put new tanks in and get the contract. So I don't know if you guys wanna. Contact, maybe the town can facilitate something with them. Or
So
between Mark Lawrence and whatever.
We can't get involved in the landlord's choice of propane
Okay.
and much time.
Well, if it was accepted, would you? Facilitate something with the road or anything in the back?
I know Mark Lawrence does have some ideas and projects that have not been put in front of the planning board that have. That hasn't come to fruition on that yet. So,
So your problem though is you're gonna run into winter, you can't have your windows, you have a building permit that you can't actually.
Yeah.
no, he can use the oil company is supposed to put them like this. And move them so that they're not in the way, so that he can have his window and it will be functioning.
And it will take twice the amount of space on the side of the wall in the way of the mural.
So they'll be shorter and long,
Yeah,
wider,
it's gonna
instead of
take-
tall.
Between 25 and 30 feet of length of building.
Okay.
Instead of the 15-ish, 20 there.
He was able to help with the code issues. I know that's not exactly what Cameron's outcome wanted.
So it helps the code, doesn't help taking them off the property,
I agree.
so.
So does this impact like what the RFP would say or look like?
It would depend
I mean,
on
yeah,
what
it's
they-
like
We're
just
not
not
even
very
in
blank.
that part of the discussion.
Right,
I'm trying to get cleaned up, so
Yeah.
And we're asking to see if we can go out to RFP tonight for said mural after they decide what exactly they want it to look like, how big they want it. Is it gonna take up the whole space? This is part of the pace. Brittany's gonna work with Cameron on what they want to see out there. There's a whole process that we discussed.
Yeah, and I'll-
It'll happen after tonight.
I'll just be repeating what I had done with Jim with the first location, and since that's been tabled for now, I just wanna see.
Yeah, I guess I just wanna make sure we're not asking people to respond to an RFP that that later we find out that they can't do the project. You know.
Understood.
So, and I don't think that'll happen, but, seem cautious in doing this.
Definitely.
Can I just ask you, I just wanna make sure, so it's your desire to have the propane tanks gone?
Yes.
Okay, and so,
They're causing a multitude of problems, but I'm trying to keep it related to the mural,
got it.
because this is what. This is.
Yeah, you know, that's okay, I understand.
And we appreciate that, however,
So the propane tanks are from Catbird and two other,
Yeah.
like tenants upstairs.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they put them on the side of the building where Cameron owns.
And so it sounds like there's maybe potential with this new company to move that.
Yeah, they found, they went back, there's. There's multiple easy solutions that P. Gaggins just doesn't wanna do for whatever reason, I don't know why,
Okay,
P. Gaggins is being a pain.
Okay.
But P. Gaggins wants to do one of those easy solutions, it's fun, just trying to. Figure out something for everyone, I don't,
the big side of it is they're on your property.
yes,
And so far, you're being a really great neighbor by not shutting down Catbird, by not shutting off their gas.
yeah, I don't wanna do that.
Right.
It's kinda,
Right. Donna's.
I'm trying not to be shifty.
And again, I appreciate that as a resident of town.
Yeah.
Uh,
I make good food and drink, so like, I don't want them mad at me. They're right next door.
I don't know, the one part I would want an answer to is what was brought up was how we issued a violation with no end date. That's my only question.
I will.
And
It's about-
yeah, if you could find out about how, because again, if Chief Ruger gives me a speeding ticket, doesn't give me a court date, I'm never gonna pay that speeding ticket. So. It's,
Yeah, they haven't been on their. Feet to do anything and no date's not gonna help that.
right, so maybe if there's if there's a 30-day window and they know they have 30 days to get it done. Maybe that'll get you a little traction, point.
And also, have you provided the proposal that the new company?
They came Friday, I'm
Okay.
still waiting to hear back,
Okay.
but, once I get that. Get that all together. Company was pretty motivated to
I'll
take a restaurant propane bill, so.
Uh-huh. Yep.
That's why they're there, we do a lot of work for free to earn that business.
Motivates your current person to change.
Yeah.
So landlord would have to, figure that.
Yeah, I like it, okay.
On street plan city.
Yes,
Yeah.
right, the tennis fee for winter,
Yeah,
which you can't do, because you can't put in your mini splits because the propane tank.
Yeah. and the furnace is condemned, so I can't use that anymore.
So. Jen will give me the answer on the date,
Okay.
Absolutely,
and I will get that back to you as. We should have it, I would hope,
right, tomorrow.
tomorrow,
Okay.
so I'll give you a call during the day. Or
Three?
later in the day, so.
Three?
I'll give you sleep time, then go in your second shift.
Actually, I should be up. I have an appointment, so I should be up by 2.
Alright, and then if you don't hear from me, call me.
Okay.
And then we'll keep us updated on
Okay.
that plan, what's going on. And again, you're doing something great for the town. We'd love to help you, but kind of other than the violation.
Yeah, I did good. I appreciate all the help I can get, so. Can I get your card?
Yes, yeah, we'll right afterwards, we'll do.
Thank you.
I would vote to approve. Moving forward with the article process.
Yes.
On the block building, with a not to exceed budget of 25,000 to be funded from the downtown transit tip fund.
Second,
Which is the money that we earmarked for the first one, so it's not anything different, any new expenditure the town didn't know about. I just want that clarity for the bulletin. Any other discussion?
Thank you.
Here, oh, no, sorry, go ahead.
Cameron, thank you for your willingness to put something on your building.
Yeah, no problem, let me tell you something. Make that a little bigger.
It will. Paul,
Yes.
Joel,
Yes.
Valerie,
Yes.
I vote yes, also motion passes 5-0, 4-0. 26-126, L area study for Pumpkin Town RFP.
Yes, do that.
Really?
Sick of me, yeah. So we kind of talked about this in the TIP budget discussion, so I'll be real brief. But Pumpkin Town, just some general comments, as many folks in this room know, Pumpkin Town TIF is crossed its halfway point. And now is the time to use that TIF to invest in this growth area. It's also the confluence of both TIFs, you know, if you look at TIF maps, the transit oriented TIF is also there too. So we want to be able to use the power of both of those TIFs to invest in the infrastructure necessary for that growth to be built out and spur development there. There's a lot of exciting things going on in Pumpkin Town. There's obviously the Green Foundry review happening before the planning board right now. Libby Scott has built their new building in the southern part of that growth area. There's other commercial developments in the mix now too. So the small area planning process, DeCarlo had envisioned it as the master planning process. I like to call it the small area planning process. Will help really sharpen our thinking on where to invest, what infrastructure to invest, what development regulations to have. In the mix is rezoning that's recommended by the comprehensive plan for the east side of the road in the I-1, currently in the I-1 zone district. And then there's conservation elements too, open spaces nearby, and all modes of transportation, where the roads are gonna go, bicycling and walking facilities, what parking is gonna look like, and the all important water and sewer infrastructure. The water study has been done. It was kind of an overview, a desktop analysis. It's very useful, but as part of next steps, it talks about well exploration, well siting and testing. Because the water study does report what growth might be accommodated by the water that's in that area through 7 wells. But it also does say as next steps, make sure you do that well exploration, siting, testing to ensure, and this is also similar to what I talked about with our water district superintendent too, was just making sure that there's really good water there. And the water quality is good too, so that we're crystal clear on the amount of growth that can be accommodated in that zone.
Next, we have sewer to the bottom now, right? We transferred that over when we did the road and everything else. So we have sewer, which is really neat.
Yeah.
Water, if we want to keep building the infrastructure.
Yep, and I talked with the sewer administrator and he said, yeah, there's additional capacity to accommodate this growth.
And the foundry, they're coming back with a different plan? For the road with some different thoughts?
Yeah, it's just some minor things. They we're waiting for them to show their septic information on their plans. We haven't seen that yet. They do have to address the road comments that the planning board mentioned, but we think that there's an agreeable solution there. And then we want to see some, they're still finalizing the fire suppression system information too, working with our fire chief, so we'll want to see that. So yeah, we're just waiting for them to finalize that information, and once they get that to us, I'm expecting that by close of business tomorrow. We're gonna try and get them on September 2nd planning board agenda.
Excellent. I'd hate to lose that opportunity. He's got a great idea for that. State team. Really great to have him in town.
Yes.
So.
Yep.
Hey, Jeff, before you leave. Are we talking of, what's the geographic area we're talking about for this planning study? I mean, is it that whole corridor or is it just the Pumpkin Town Road? Area or?
Good question. I would like to have it encompass the entire growth area with obviously an obvious focus on the east side, because that's where a lot of stuff is happening. But also have an element that would allow us to have the consultant we bring on assist us with downtown needs too. I mean, this traffic signals project is big and it's gonna be a great project. It's a huge opportunity, but it also, there's an element that will make it a challenge, because we wanna make sure that everything we want to see there in Main Street. Dovetails with what DOT decides to do, so. I feel it's necessary to have, as a small part of this RFP, some consulting assistance with streetscape, walkability, and, kind of business assistance recommendations for the downtown area as well, too. But it's primarily Punkintown focused.
Alright, I move to approve the RFP for fall area planning for our two SIP zones.
Second.
Motion in a second, Paul,
Aye.
Joel,
I,
Mallory.
Aye.
Vote aye also, that motion passes 4-0. I think you're done for the night, Jack.
I'm done.
Yeah.
Unless you wanna make a comment during council member comment,
I don't think that's my,
I'll give you my comment. That being said, Joel, we'll let you roll first.
yes, I'll be very quick. Just a reminder for everybody, if you're interested in running for any of our local positions, paperwork is due, voting corrected for September 4th. Everything, 2 town council positions and 1 school board position. Coffee with counselors is this, 2 school board, I lied. Coffee with counselors is this Saturday at 10 AM in this building. Come have coffee with me. And then the budget listening session scheduled for September 15th at 6 PM, also here. I won't have coffee, that's it, but come hang out. That's all.
Paul?
I'm good, other than, again, Conservation Commission, thank you for them, Professional Great Works for cleaning up the.
I think you owe a free work day since you said it, I did go.
Don't want to use the tough
Well,
call.
the idea of, using a chainsaw and canoe. There.
Just put chaps on it, just put Mallory.
The other thing I have is that, we have an election coming up on November 3rd, and absentee ballots can be requested as of right now. If you'd like to request one, there's plenty of information on our town website to request absentee ballot.
Excellent. My public service announcement for the week. Public Works is out cleaning the sides of the roads. Pay attention to the orange signs, please don't hit the people in the tractors. It's close, I've watched a couple people come really close to the mower and it's not a good thing, so. Just be aware when you're out in the backwoods roads that they're doing that right now. Short of that, that's all I have, and I move we adjourn. Thank you, Chair.